Okay, so AI in the enterprise, there's masses of sort of hype talk about it. Are you able to summarize what's the reality versus the hype? How big is that? We had virtualization, we've had other things. Is this really as big as everyone's talking about it, or is it getting dangerously overhyped at the moment? Just thoughts, I guess, about the topic.
Yeah, thanks for the question. I think everything you said is true. We see a little bit of everything, all these different attributes. Is this very overhyped? I'm not going to say overhyped, but there's a lot of hype in the market, right? We see a lot of promises. Sometimes might be false promise. People are, they're being promised, right? But at the same time, this technology is still at its very infancy stage, right? A lot could change. What I often call it the Gen AI years. One Gen AI years is almost equivalent to 5 or 10 years of normal technology development. Things iterate very, very rapidly.
And in terms of specifically the meeting of AI and cybersecurity, and I guess if there was another buzz topic, and that's been ongoing for ages, cybersecurity is always with us. Um, do you think that today's CISOs should be, I don't know, excited and or nervous about the coming together of cybersecurity and AI? And again, perhaps you're referring to the expectations. Is it just another sort of iteration of cybersecurity that they kind of seen it all before, or are we potentially looking at something that's going to completely change the cybersecurity landscape over time?
Yeah, well, it's not going to completely change the landscape today, right? But it does have the potential to change a lot of the things, how we do things. For example, think about Gen AI, right? The fundamental capability of Gen AI, it has lots of knowledge, right? From a pre-trained large amount of data. That's sort of what we try to stay away from. But then it's a reasoning capability. You feed it some text, it can reason over that data and then give you a verdict of one way or the other. That is the type of thing that's going to change a lot of things, how we do things. Yeah. And then the third pillar is it's the way you interact with it, this conversational interface, which is being used and leveraged the most today. We see from Charlotte AI, from Purple AI to Microsoft Security Copilot. These are the different products that are harvesting this conversational interface, allow you to interact with your tools in a natural language, right? This is already there today, right? Still have to be tested by the market, how useful it is, how much efficiency we can get out of it, and then is this really worth the investment, right? So that is still yet to be tested, but that's sort of on the first the first major capability that's may have the potential to win over that critical mass of adoption. But then other things like its reasoning, how much can we really harvest the reasoning capability of large language model to help us better defend ourselves? That stuff is still yet to be tested. A lot of security vendors have ventured on that path, trying different things, still in the early days, right? There's proof of concept. Yes, we can do this, but can you do it consistently in a cost-effective manner that is useful for CISOs, for the security organization that they're going to pay for it? All of that is yet to be proved.
Yeah, and in sort of following up from that, in terms of how AI can be used, I guess the bad actors have the potential to use it for even more sort of nefarious activities. And then, as you say, it's clearly potentially a tool for good. Again, at the moment, it's the sort of the balance, the bad actors do something and then the good folks kind of react to it. And so it goes on. Will that sort of continue in AI, or do you think AI will be a game changer either for the bad actors, they'll be able to do all manner of things that we haven't even contemplated, or on the plus side, will it help defend us better than at the moment? Any thoughts as to will there be a winner, I suppose?
Yeah, that's interesting. We get a lot of questions like this from our client as well. So the way I think about it is Gen AI is a tool, right? It's a fancy hammer, right? It's in my toolbox. It's a fancy hammer, shiny. And the way that the defenders and the attackers can use the tool is literally the same, right? The defender can use, the defender can use GitHub Copilot to help us to program, to help us to increase our productivity, the same way that the threat actors could use these things to help them to be more effective, right? So I think the most reliable source today is a blog post from Microsoft and OpenAI back in February 2024, how they have observed different threat actors, different APT groups that they track, how they use the different GPT models to help them to craft malicious software, to investigate the vulnerability. When you look at it, there's nothing fancy, right? It's a very basic usage of large language model, right? So that's the thing I want to put it out there is, yes, there are a lot of proof of concepts, right? There is like a Black Mamba, these smart malware, the GPTs could help malware to be a lot more smarter, live off the land, observe the environment. But all of that stuff is proof of concept. Yes, they've done it, but for these things to be in a practical way, to be to be exploited in large scale, at scale consistently, we're very far away from that. So imagine if the defenders can have one thing that sort of put their mind into ease is that before we see a piece of smart software landed on our Windows laptop or MacBook, before we see anything smart software from the software companies is going to be deployed at scale, consistently working, likely we're not going to see a piece of smart malware on our laptop. It's the same thing, right? It's a piece of software. If you can make a piece of software smarter, whether it's for banal usage or for malicious intent, it's the same thing. Software need to be smarter. So the progression in that sense is very similar in a way.
Yeah, and is there any danger that the CISOs and I guess the wider cybersecurity departments and organizations are pinning their hopes on AI sort of coming to the rescue, again, perhaps fueled by some of the hype from some of the vendors suggesting that, or do you think most people are, as you sort of explained, understanding that it's almost like an even, AI will progress at the same rate for the good and the bad, or as I say, are some people kind of pinning their hopes that AI will come up with this magic bullet to resolve cybersecurity once and for all?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of noise out there, right? Created by the marketing department, by all the lovely security industry, right? The marketing department feels like they have to do something. But I think the positive news is that although there's a lot of hypes and false promises sometimes out there, security people generally is a bunch that with highly skeptical mindsets, right? We look at things with a question mark. So that's the good news, right? And then, like I said earlier, as long as they follow their due diligence, ask the question of, is this going to work? Is this going to work consistently? Is this going to work better than whatever I have today? And is this worth the money? Ask these basic questions like they invest in any security innovation. Likely they will be able to filter through all the noises and then really finally get something that's going to be really useful for them. Right. At this point, we're still very early in the days, like I said.
And in terms of preparing for the sort of advent of AI in the cybersecurity industry in a sort of mainstream kind of way, do you think organizations need to look at their skills base so that they're ready for it? And also maybe more broadly, the sort of culture around, I suspect a lot of organizations haven't even got a really good cybersecurity culture now in terms of the way they, let their or educate their employees as to what they should and shouldn't do. But do you think it becomes even more important with this AI sort of cybersecurity headed that skills levels and culture are addressed fairly urgently?
Absolutely, absolutely. Organizational change management is a big piece of all of this, right? The upskilling, because when we give Defender these AI-powered features and tools, they need to look at it differently, right? They cannot be expecting to we're not using like a new shiny tool like how we used to get it, right? Because these things, hallucination, inaccuracy, these are still the problem. If we expect these type of tools to be always accurate, 100% accurate, then you will be disappointed, right? But because this is still in the very early days, so one advice we commonly provide to organizations are give these tools to the employee, to the security professionals that are proven already effective with a free tool like ChatGPT. If they can be more productive, more effective with ChatGPT, then there's a very high likelihood they will get the benefit from Charlotte AI, Purple AI, Security Copilot. right? But if they have never used ChatGPT or they do not like ChatGPT, right? You have to constantly validate the outcome. It's not always correct. You have to figure out a way to ask what kind of question do you want to ask effectively. Prompt engineering. If you don't have these skills, then the chance of getting successful with these AI-powered security tools are a lot lower. We've already seen evidence out there. Folks are getting, they put up their hands very quickly and getting quite frustrated with the type of answer they get from these type of tooling because they haven't been playing with ChatGPT a lot. They don't know how to interact with a 5-year-old because all of these tools today, in my mindset, is a 5-year-old. Knows a lot, but at the end of the day, it's a 5-year-old. So you need to learn how to talk to a 5-year-old to get the most out of it.
Okay, so I don't know, bear in mind what we chat about, is it possible to sort of summarize the best approach to Gen AI driven cybersecurity, what a good strategy looks like? Is that possible, or is it very much vary according to what type of organization, where you are in your AI maturity more generally, I suppose?
Yeah, definitely the organizational culture plays a big role in it, right? Because like I said, overall, this is very early stage. So there will be those organizations that have the resource, have the manpower to always try these bleeding edge development and technology and innovation. They will be exploring these things, but there will be the organization that want to follow the pack. I don't want to be leading edge. I want to see everybody is done. I want to see a lot of organizations went down that path, proven this is working before I commit, right? So these will be two different groups. But for the organizations that are leading, like that are more forward leading, I generally say that there's a few things people need to think about. Number one, does it work? There's a lot of promise on the market that are slideware, right? Only exist on this PowerPoint slide deck. So it's important to ask, does it work? Number one. Number two, ask to see a demo. A lot of false promises, you can bust them by just asking, see a demo. Some of them don't even have a working demo, right? Does it work? Asking to see a demo, and does it work consistently? Ask that question. How much time does it provide accurate answer? And are you okay if only 90% of the time it's going to give you a good answer? Do you have the manpower to validate the outcome to tease out the other 10%? Because that is still an unsolved problem today. Right? Does it work? Does it have a working product? Is this always going to work? Number three. And number four is this better than what I have today? Because so far we have not seen any GenAI powered security product that can do things drastically different from an outcome perspective that can give me something I have not seen before. We haven't seen that yet. It might come, right? So today, most of these innovations are really what I call it the productivity play or the efficiency play, helping me to do the things faster as I used to do yesterday, right? So is this better than whether it's a vulnerability management, whether it's alert triaging, whether it's threat hunting, whether it's threat intelligence management, whatever that is this better than the tools that we have today? Question number four. And then question number five, is this cheaper than what I do today, what I pay for today? Right? Because for someone to leverage these things at scale consistently in an effective manner, you need something that is giving you better outcome consistently and then cheaper. Right? So and we're so far from all of that. We're still in a very, very early stage. These different, what we call them as cybersecurity AI assistants, different co-pilots or whatnot. We're still in the early stage of testing. Is this working consistently? Right? We're only in the very early stage of validating. Yeah.